Hi, everyone. I'm so happy that you're here and I'm really excited. We are going to begin by discussing what to expect on the PSAT and MSQT, which is the National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test. Kareem, we're so excited that you're here. Can you please tell us about yourself?
Sure. So, hey everyone, good evening. My name's Kareem Stanley. I'm just admitting a few other people from the waiting room. My name's Kareem Stanley. I am originally from Queens, New York. I went to Columbia undergrad. I did a chemical engineering degree while I was at Columbia, and I graduated in 2017. After finishing up at Columbia, I went to work down south in industry for about 3 years, and then I returned back to school. I'm currently doing my JD and my MBA at Harvard, and that's where I'm at right now. I did my first year of the law school already. I'm going into the business school literally a week from today, and pretty excited about it. Just rolling with the punches. There's a lot of work here to do, but yeah, it has been a great program.
Can you also just tell us about your tutoring and your tutoring experience? And you have quite a lot of experience. So if you could just give us like a nice overview of different things you've taught at, because we're going to obviously circle back and focus on PSAT, but if you're able to just talk about your journey as well.
Yeah, so I've been tutoring at Kweller Prep for about 10 years now. I've done a wide variety of tests. I've done the PSAT, obviously. I've done the SAT. I've done the GRE, the graduate school exam. I've done the GMAT, which is specifically for business schools. I've done the Hunter exam, which is, for Hunter High School in New York. I've done the IC. I've done the whole range of all STEM, STEM classes at all levels. So all the way from elementary school, all the way up to college level courses of math. So algebra, trigonometry, geometry, calculus, so on and so forth. And then chemistry, physics, and a large range of things. I guess in 10 years, you can cover a lot of ground. So I've been thankful for Kweller Prep to kind of connect me with students that, need the help. And yeah, we've certainly seen results.
And can you just give like an overview and your best tips on just how to be a successful student? Because you've really, gone through, you kind of went, if I'm correct, public school for middle school, and then you went on to specialized high school, you went into Ivy League for college. Here you are now again for Ivy League at Harvard. I mean, top of the top in terms of schools. And you didn't really stop at one degree. I mean, you're going and you're pursuing a dual degree, a JD and an MBA. So, I mean, and you also work at Kweller. You're just like a really hyper organized person, and definitely on the calmer side as opposed to me.
Yeah.
So if you just give some good advice and just how you really stayed slow and steady in your academic journey, because you've not taken it easy on yourself in terms of academics. And you could have, realistically, you could have finished school after college and gone straight into the workforce, but here you are now pursuing not one but two degrees. If you could quickly just give some advice on what organizes you or what keeps you going and aiming higher.
Yeah, so I'd say three things. So one, you touched upon a bit, is the time management skills. Like one of the things that I guess I developed while I was at Columbia doing the engineering degree is the ability to just switch back and forth from one thing to the next and trying to minimize the amount of time that it takes you to mentally make that switch. So it takes practice, it takes work, but the ability to start, writing an essay and then all of a sudden have to just switch how you're thinking about things and switch over to a problem set for a calculus test or a physics test. So that's something that just takes work and takes practice, but you get inundated with that when you're going through school because you're doing all these different types of courses. You have English, you have math, you have these other things. So working on that and working on minimizing the amount of time that it takes you to just mentally make that switch really helps you cut down the amount of time that it takes to just do assignments altogether. Similar to that and kind of in the same vein, I think it's really important to develop the skill of just focusing. It's tough nowadays, especially, with phones and social media and all these things that kind of are constantly trying to draw our attention away from the things that we're doing. You have to detach yourself from them when you're trying to focus on work and like really compartmentalize. So I put my phone away, I put it on airplane mode. and I'll do 2 hours straight of just solid, like, focused work. And the amount of work that you can get done in 2 hours is really shocking when you don't have something else that's continually trying to draw your attention away. So I think that's really important. Secondly, I'd say trying to, like, focus on what matters to you is really important, and what drives you. So for me, that's always been my family. For instance, we talked about this a lot. My family is a family of Jamaican immigrants. They've literally done everything for me in terms of just allowing me to have the ability to go to schools like Columbia and Harvard, because they've been taking care of the stuff and making sure that at home I'm comfortable. Like, I've never had to be concerned about certain things that other people in the world have to be concerned about, like, where their next meal coming from, what home is their roof going to be over their head. So my family has just been instrumental in making sure that I had a comfortable lifestyle growing up. And for me, it was always just paying that back, paying that forward to them, because neither of my parents had the opportunity to go to college, certainly not graduate school. They worked blue collar growing up for their entire careers. My dad recently was able to retire, so that's a big stepping stone as well. My mom is still working, but either way, yeah, a lot of that has been just paying it forward to them. And then the last thing I'll say, so time management, one, to understand what your pillar is and focus on that, because the going will get tough, but you have to focus on why you are doing the things that you're doing. And then I guess last, I'd say prioritization is kind of a huge thing too. I always say that there is enough time in the day to do everything that you care about. And all of those things are very important. So yeah, one, you have a fixed amount of time in the day that you have to be productive. Like, you have to sleep, obviously, but you have a fixed amount of time in the day that you have waking hours and you have work to do. That is enough time to do everything that you care about. It isn't enough time to do everything. So you have to figure out what are the things that are most important to you. For me, when I was going through Columbia, and I can just list these things out, number one for me was always my academics. So I would always make sure that my grades were as high as humanly possible. And that's just what I was focused on back then. Number two, so in my junior year at Columbia, I was the president of the National Society of Black Engineers. And that was something that was really important to me, because I always felt that, and I'm going to get off a little bit on the tangent, but I'll make it quick, Francis. I always felt that, Columbia is literally adjacent to Harlem. There's a lot of students that are underserved in Harlem. So I thought that the National Society of Black Engineers at Columbia was a good platform of helping those students out and helping the students that are at Columbia, get jobs, figure out what they're going to do with their lives. And being the president of the organization, I had the opportunity to make significant change. So I went to Harlem. I taught a computer science course to some students. And I developed the curriculum for and taught the computer science course to some students. I set up job fairs at Columbia and helped students get jobs and get connected with companies like Goldman Sachs, Accenture, Google, yada, 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 a bunch of Fortune 500 companies. So there were, like, real material things. And those two things were, like, my top two priorities. And then everything else was kind of subsidiary. So I had to figure out if there were certain things that people asked me to do that I didn't really see, like, contributing a lot of value to the things that I cared about, then I had to kind of take them off of the plate, because there isn't enough time to do everything, but you have to figure out what you care about, your top 2 or 3 things, make sure that you're focusing your time on that, and maybe you can add in a few more things, but it is imperative to prioritize and figure out what matters most, and then commit that time, or commit your time to doing those things and doing them well.
And then
So hopefully that answers your question.
And before we shift gears, on a scale of 1 to 10, and again, I just want all of you guys to know, like, this is totally not rehearsed at all. Like, we actually spoke at 6:59 because I'm busy, he's busy, we're busy people. Korean, on a scale of 1 to 10, before we shift gears, how important do you think test prep is? Like, can someone just, I mean, you've been doing this for 10 years. How important do you think it is? Like, can someone just walk into the PSAT and just take the test? Like, let's see, because I just want to add to my comments. A lot of students hear that they should not study for the test. If you guys could just quickly write into the chat box, how many of you have heard that you just walk into the test? Just go take it. Just go take it and see what happens. Just take it. It doesn't count. Don't worry. Just tell us in the chat who's heard. Just go take the test. Just go see how you do. It's a practice. Don't study. Kareem, what's your view on this? Just, get a good night's rest advice and walk into a test.
Yeah. I'm not seeing anything pop up in the chat. Oh, okay. So Gina said, especially for 10th grade, I've heard you should not study. Okay. Yeah, that's so interesting. So two things about like testing. One is that my answer when I was, and this is so strange because I'm 26 years old, objectively, hopefully you guys don't think that's too old. It depends, I guess, on who's on the call, because I guess the high school students think that I'm old now. But either way, one is that when I was going into high school, or when I was going through high school, I guess I should say, my answer would be completely different than what I would say right now. Seeing what my nephew has had to go through in like going through testing, going through I guess the SHSAT, and going through Catholic school exams and all these things, it is so much tougher now. Like, and I can't underscore that enough. Back when I took the test, I'd say test prep, I'd probably give it a 5, honestly. And this is like completely honest opinion. I hope that doesn't taint what you're saying, Francis.
No, we want to hear the
Now,
truth. What do you
yeah,
believe?
no.
Yeah.
So 10 years ago, or a little bit more than 10 years ago, 5, because a lot of people weren't really doing test prep. It wasn't that competitive. Now, 10. I mean, easily 9, 10. I mean, it is so competitive these days that it is just it's kind of frightening. Kids come out prepared. There's kids that are coding from the time they're like 7 years old or younger. It's insane. It's insane. And you see, as the world has shifted toward just development happening at an earlier stage, all these tests are based off of a curve. So, like, if you have more competition, it makes the test, though the material in the test isn't necessarily changing, it makes the test harder because you have to compete with those people. So, to answer your question, I'd say now 9, 10, like test prep is almost imperative at this point, and it's tough because we start talking about like larger societal issues about, because test prep costs money. But I think that Kweller Prep has done a good job of like understanding the amount of value that Kweller Prep is contributing to these students, and like pricing the course well, such that it's not like so much of an impediment that people can't get into the course. And there's also extra things offered, like extra help. So Francis, you've done a good job there in terms of like pricing it at the right in terms of pricing it at the right place, so it's accessible to everyone, and having tutors that are capable and paying the tutors well so that they are willing to work. Yeah. So can't say well enough about Kweller, but either way, yeah, it is super important at this point because competition is just so much harsher now than it was 10, 15 years ago when I was going through the same process.
Thank you so much for giving us an honest response, because here we are right now. We're going to go through the PSAT. And as many of you know, we're going to begin a process where many of you have heard that you don't even need to study for this exam. I'm going to tell you right now, as director of this program running it, you need to study for this exam. There's a PSAT 10, which we're looking at right now. There's also a PSAT NMSQT, which is for the National Merit Qualifying Scholarship Test. You need to study and prepare for these exams. It is almost impossible to perform well on these tests without studying. And I want to be very clear as to what these exams are, what the nuances are, what the differences are, and what's on the test content and what you should expect on the tests. Keep in mind, all of these scores will stick. They're going to show up in your College Board account, and it's going to open doors for many different opportunities. Without further ado, Kareem, thank you so much. Can you show us, what are we looking at? What should we know about this PSAT? And this is the starter, which is called the PSAT 10.
Perfect. So the PSAT in many ways mirrors, what happens with the SAT in terms of the sections that are offered and the sections that you have to go through. So we have a question in the chat, Francis, of when is the test generally offered?
Yeah, I'm happy to answer. I'll type the answers into the chat box as you keep going. Perfect. Go right ahead.
Perfect. So in terms of the content on the PSAT, it mirrors what happened on the SAT. So you have 2 sections of math. One section of that math is no calculator. The other section is calculator. And then you have kind of a grammar section, and you have a reading comprehension section. The reading comprehension section, you have passages that you read through, 5 passages. Each of them has in the neighborhood of 10 questions that you go through based on the stuff that's in the passage. And there's a certain order that I always tell my students to go through these things in order to kind of just maximize the score and minimize the amount of time that it takes to go through each one of these passages. Reading comprehension section, or I should say the grammar section, the writing section, is all about rules. I want to say there's 22 rules is the last number that I've seen of just literally rote memorization of just, you have to recognize what rule they're testing, and they're all grammatical rules that we should know, but English is just a difficult language objectively relative to all the languages that are in the world. So it's kind of tough to go through. So you need the preparation in order to kind of see what rules and be able to recognize. And effectively, the writing section becomes pattern recognition, in that if you understand that this question is a redundancy, then you know that you're supposed to cut out the second piece of it and leave the first piece, or vice versa, certain things. And I don't have to go into too much detail there, but long story short, the reading comprehension or the writing section is just about these rules that you have to understand and be able to recognize. Some of them are harder than others, and you knock them out. Then the math section goes up to trigonometry. So a lot of students ask the question of, well, do I have to have pre-calc? Do I have to know calculus? What type of stuff is tested? And it doesn't get that hard. It's just that it really covers each piece all the way up to trigonometry. You have to know geometry really well. You have to know like all your volume and area formulas, so on and so forth. You have to know your rules related to your trigonometric ratios. You have to know your Pythagorean theorem. You have to know graphing. You have to know all of these things. And the issue that most students have is it's just such a broad range of topics that they don't really remember what they did in like 8th, 7th grade. And now it's just, they're inundated with it. Like, oh man, I don't remember how to do a system of equations. And I could do it, but I can't do it fast enough in order to get through the test. And that's a piece of why test prep is so important, because I can get through these sections. So the no calculator section, you have 25 minutes. I think I would average.
Can you make it larger, Kareem? I just want everyone to see the screen, so there's no issue. Let's go to the top. Yeah, that's actually perfect. Yeah, nice and big. Okay, go ahead. Everyone can see this well, right? All right. So let's go through. Go ahead.
Yep. So the reading section that I was talking about with the passages and the questions based on those passages, 60 minutes. The writing and language section, the grammar rules, all of that stuff, there's 44 questions. You have to do them in 35 minutes. So that is a testament to the fact that you really have to know these rules, be able to recognize them, and then knock out these questions relatively quickly. The math test, 20 questions, 25 minutes, or the math section, no calculator, 20 questions, 25 minutes. It's just a broad range of rules. And sometimes kids are familiar enough that they could figure it out. It takes them too long. Like they can't do all of the questions in 25 minutes. So that's a big piece of why test prep is important for the math section, because I teach you the methodology and how to think about it so that you can knock out the questions really quickly and be as efficient as possible. So what I was saying is there's no reason that section should take 25 minutes. Like on average, I'd say I could get through the 20 question math section in 10 minutes. And students are shocked by that because they just can't finish in the amount of time. So all that to say, it is really important to understand how to work efficiently on these math sections. And I've been doing this for like 10 years now. So I guess at this point, I really do understand how to present the information well and how to guide students to be as efficient as possible. And then the math test with the calculator, that's 38 questions in the 45 minutes. And very similar in terms of just content, except some of the algebra and some of the arithmetic is a little bit too difficult to just write it down. So you have to be able to plug it into your calculator, or it's just more efficient to plug it into the calculator. So recognizing what is a good section to put in the calculator and what is a good question not to put in the calculator is also really important. But yeah, either way, those are that's broad strokes, kind of what you're looking at when it comes to the PSAT. The SAT is very similar in terms of structure. So hopefully that kind of answers that question, Francis.
So everyone sees, here's the scoring. And I just want to kind of fill in. So everyone, just to backtrack a little bit. So just to go through a few things so that you know, number one, there's no essay on the PSAT. There used to be an essay on the SAT. and the essay was optional, and now it's just like not even there. So it's
Yeah.
really, when you're preparing for the SAT, a lot of students at Kweller, they just go straight into SAT prep. You can do PSAT prep at Kweller, and we have a course that's starting. But truth be told, a lot of students just like go straight into SAT. But we have quite a lot of students who will like do the whole summer, or they'll do the summer, fall, getting ready for PSAT. There's also something, just to go over some nuances, the PSAT 8-9, which is usually 8th, 9th graders, kids who want to do like the Johns Hopkins CTY program, the Center for Talented Youth, so they can do that one. Which is one. Kareem, can you actually in the share screen, can you show us the PSAT NMSQT? I just want them to see the nuances, because this one is the PSAT 10, and I just want them to see the nuance for that as well. So that's, so the PSAT 8-9, it's really more of something that's like self-selected. You can choose to take that test, but it's not commonly given at schools. Students for Johns Hopkins CTY, they'll take it, Center for Talented Youth and Opportunities. Then there's the PSAT 10. You can, by the way, register for these exams on College Board. And that's where ultimately you're going to be taking the SAT, the AP exams, and all sorts of other, important college-bound exams. So there's the PSAT 10. It's usually given in the 10th grade. Some schools give it, some don't, or you can just sign up for it yourself. These two PSATs ultimately are going to prepare you for what is known as the PSAT NMSQT. And Kareem is going to pull up a sample just so that we can see exactly what that test looks like. This is the big one. This is the one which has the national, if you could make it a little larger. And then, by the way, and again, the website where you're going to have this information is the College Board. So this is the PSAT. It's the preliminary SAT NMSQT. Some of and I just want to say, like, some of you right now, the whole world is optional. I don't know, waking up is optional. I don't know what's going on. The universe is insane. But anyway, when you go to college, like, you really need to know the material that shows up in the SAT. You need to know the reading. You need to know the math. You need to know the grammar. I mean, really, like, good luck succeeding in life without knowing reading, math, and grammar, and like arithmetic. Like, I wish you well. You need to know this content. It's very important. So what's on the actual exam is good. So you'll take a look. And here, Kareem is going to show you just a score report summary. So if you could just scroll up so that they can see that as well. So you can go to PSAT. So this is how you're scoring. So the highest score, Kareem, if you don't mind just explaining how the scores work, how the percentiles work, please go right ahead.
Yeah. So the range of scores is from 320 to 1520. And yeah, you can kind of score anywhere within that range. There's a breakdown between your reading and writing score and then your math score. So as you can see, you see different percentiles for your reading, and writing versus your math score. And the way that they do it is that half of this reading writing score is based on your reading comprehension. Half of the reading writing score is based on your writing, like the grammar section. And then your math score is based off of those two sections of calculator and no calculator. And then they kind of take a composite of these two things, and that gives you your overall score. So, and it's just addition, literally. So 530, 430 gives you your 960. So the important percentile is usually going to be kind of like your overall one, but it also is important to kind of, really the ideal situation is you do well in all pieces of this. And that's kind of what we help you prepare for at Kweller Prep. But either way, yeah, the percentiles kind of take a composite and end up giving you your total percentile. And this is the piece that I was talking about earlier about how everything is based on a curve. So if you're not familiar with what percentile means, I'll give you like the quick and dirty of it, which is in order to give you a percentile, like, you have to know what every student scored on that given test. So how every student did. Your percentile, so 50th percentile is going to be your average, like in the middle of the pack, like you scored in the 50th percentile. And anything above 50th percentile means that you did above average. Anything below 50th percentile means you did below average. But either way, the ideal situation when you're talking about competing at an Ivy League or a competitive institution, you want to score in like the 90-ish and above type percentiles is the ideal situation. So obviously that's quite difficult. That's many standard deviations above the mean. But yeah, as I've said, it's formulaic. There's a method behind doing this, and that's kind of what test prep helps you to achieve. Francis's point is also salient too, of like these are important topics to understand, I guess, generally in life. When you start talking about like going into, I guess, like higher paying type jobs, it even kind of becomes important. Like if you're talking about financial institutions and those types of things, legal jobs, so on and so forth, like grammar is quite important, and having a foundation in grammar becomes super important. Like having an understanding of how formulas impact one another and how like changing one variable in the formula will impact other variables is going to be important for when it comes to those types of jobs. So yeah, either way, that kind of is a breakdown of how the test is scored. The big points to kind of take away from all of that is that it's separated into 2 scores, and each score is based off of 2 sections from the test. So you have your reading and writing score, and then you have your math score, which is based off the 2 math sections. And then those combine together to give you your overall score. Ideal situation is you want to get in the 90th percentile range for going to like really elite competitive institutions. And that's kind of what the test prep will help you get to. And I guess I'd kind of pause there.
And yeah, let's just take a look really quickly. So then here is National Merit Scholarship, the CORP. It's the qualifying test. For you to qualify to get a plethora of different scholarships. Kareem, I just emailed you. If you're able to put on the share screen, that would be awesome.
Perfect.
Okay, so this is your it's your selection index. And again, you want to show where you stand compared to other students. And your national merit selection index is what's going to tell you what you qualify for the scholarship programs. Okay. And I just want to kind of go through like what you can expect with regards to your PSAT and your scores, so we can go through this. Okay. If you're able to, Kareem, I just want to open the share. If you're able to open the email and do the share screen on the email, I just want to scroll down. I want to show everyone the image of just how like the scoring works.
Yep, I'll just shift over screen and
yeah, really quickly, if you can open that. Yeah, what to expect in the PSAT. Perfect. So if you could just scroll up really and make it much, much larger, I would like to show everybody. Okay, let's go up, up, up. Kareem's life. Okay, go ahead. Go, 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 go. Okay, now I want to just go to a picture. We're almost there. Oh, hold on. Let's go a little bit higher, 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 higher. Okay, hold on.
Yep.
So when you're actually filling out the PSAT information, so colleges actually will obtain your contact information. So they never get your exact score, but they will get your threshold score. So basically Harvard, Princeton, Yale. So they'll, for example, they'll purchase every single name that's over a 1,500. So that they will actually, they won't get your exact, but they will invest in your scoring. And this is very important. And then when you fill yes into, there's a circle box, see, so just one of them. So it allows colleges and universities, basically, this is what I want to say in a nutshell. The first time, and I hope everyone's paying attention, the first time that you're going to be on the radar for colleges, like the real radar, is going to be when you take that PSAT. Because the colleges are going to be interested in knowing who are their highest performers, because those kids who perform well on the PSAT, they're extremely likely to perform well. I mean, I almost want to say guaranteed, Kareem. Am I allowed to say that? I think it's pretty safe to say that. If you're performing at a 1,500 on the PSAT, you're going to get around a 1,500 in the SAT. I mean, there's a no-brainer there. So be prepared. So colleges are very interested in knowing early on. They want to identify the early talent. So this is something that you should know, is that the College Board, they will not, they do sell your score, but they basically provide top schools with lists of who's at a 1,500 plus, who's at a 1,450. So you begin to get mail. So let's keep going up, please. So if you can keep going. Okay, ready? 1 second. No, up, 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 up.
Oh.
Okay, ready? A little on the white, higher, higher. Okay, ready? So sponsor colleges, they tend to be renewable scholarships as well. So just be prepared. And then it's not just the National Merit Scholarship. There are actually 1,100 high scoring students who are not just finalists, they'll get special scholarships from sponsor organizations. I'm just going to use like super layman's terms. Everybody wants to feature a cute high school kid getting an award for being a smart cookie. Like, let's get real. Everybody wants it. They want it in the yogurt. They want it in the, I don't know, Nike. They want it in Google. They want it on Microsoft. Like, everybody wants to feature a cute 16, 17-year-old with a beaming smile with great scores and saying, we co-sponsored this smart kid. So that's exactly how this almost like game is played. They get really good PR, and you get the benefit of the scholarship opportunities. How much money is it? Oh my goodness. I think it was 30 million. Now it's like 50 million. So there's like a lot of money involved. Okay. So let's keep going. Please, let's scroll down. And then I have a rant because I was like so upset because you're being told not to study. So let's take a look at this image. Okay. Let's look at this. No, that the triangle is good. Okay. Ready? So Cream, is there any way for you to like center it more? Is that possible? I just want to make sure everyone sees it. And if we could make it larger. Good. Okay, so Cream, if you could help just explain like roughly how this whole chart works. We'll start with a junior PSAT. Okay, go ahead. And Cream is going to read it out so we all just understand like how all this stuff works with the PSAT. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Yep. So the chart's just kind of telling you how it all funnels down, like where you all start and how you end up becoming a scholar, a national merit scholar. So you start off taking your junior PSAT, 1.5 million juniors take the PSAT and enter the National Merit Scholarship Program. So,
and just to be super clear, this is an 11th grade exam. It's a one-shot deal. Like, you don't take it 10 or 9 or 8. It's an 11th grade. You actually never have this opportunity ever again in your whole entire life. No pressure, but it's just the truth. Okay, keep going.
So out of that 1.5 million, 50,000 are recognized as either of two denominations, commended students or semifinalists, and about 34,000 will be commended students, about 16,000 will be semifinalists. And then for the class of 2020, the selection index of 212 was required to achieve commended students. So selective index is just kind of a basis, a conversion of your score. So like what the score converted over to. And I totally
want to add the whole like resume booster component. Many top colleges want to see a resume. And Kareem, if you're able to add to that, like I would, Kareem has actually helped so many students with college applications. The actual recognition, you don't even have to get the money. You don't even have to be a national merit. Like you don't even have to get the money. But if you could just speak about like the recognition on a resume of just like making it into this range, please.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of different types of recognition that colleges, they do this year in and year out, that they recognize, and then they'll kind of flag your application. And that is a big piece of just what admissions is. It's just having key highlights in your application that tell the college like, I'm an ideal candidate for your institution. So one of them is just being a national merit scholar, and being a commended student is also like a very notable thing. So it's something that you certainly should include on your applications or on your resume when you're going through these application processes. Another one is going to be like being an AP scholar with distinction, for example. That's one of those that I was able to put on because I got 4s and 5s on all of my AP tests, and you have to get a certain average, and I came above that threshold. So they made me a scholar with distinction.
And I just want to remind everyone, Kareem was accepted to Columbia University, Ivy League School of Engineering as an early decision applicant. So he not only took all these PSAT, the SAT, the APs, but he did everything before November 1. I mean, you applied in October, right?
Yeah.
So he did everything before October of senior year. So the timelines are super important. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Please keep going.
And then other types of recognitions are going to be, when you score above a certain average on your Regents examinations, you get to graduate with like an advanced Regents diploma and things of that nature. The exact nomenclature is kind of escaping me, but I believe it's advanced Regents diploma, which I was able to put on my resume as well. So either way, there are like key things that you want to be able to flag to these institutions, and this is one of them. And that's kind of the point that Francis is kind of making here.
So as we're going down, Kareem, we'll go to the next one just to make sure we cover it. Go ahead.
Yep. So above commended student, you get those 16,000 that were deemed semifinalists. So they continue in the competition. They're determined proportionally by state. So that's something important. You know, New York has, in the grand scheme of the United States, some of the better schools in the state. So again, kind of more difficult in that respect. But either way, proportionally by state, and the scores are cut off, and the score cutoffs vary year by year. But also, I don't mean to like scare anyone as well. Like there's more students taking the test. So there is a balance thing. Like obviously the more students that you have, that'll bring the averages down. But if you have more competitive institutions, like you have all the Hunters and the Talented Harrises and the Stuyvesants and so on and so forth that are all taking these same examinations and getting prepped for it more and more, it obviously becomes more competitive and that'll bring your averages up. But as compared to a state like that has fewer people, literally like anything, Colorado, Wyoming, I don't know. Just it's going to be different in terms of your cutoffs as it pertains to your score. And then, oh, did you want to say something, Francis?
Well, if you want to rig the system, guys, you go to Alabama, you get an amazing, you relocate. I mean, I think that would and then you like get an amazing score and you get all scholarship money. And you have to get residency, which takes a year. So you have to plan the whole year in advance. Oh my God, I can't even joke about this stuff anymore. All right, but go ahead.
And I don't know if you say that to joke with me, but I've lived in Alabama for 2.5 years, and Francis always jokes with me about that.
He did after Exxon Mobil, and now he's back to the mothership. But, all right, go ahead.
So 95% of all the semifinalists are named National Merit finalists. So 15,000 out of those 16,000 are now finalists, and that leaves you the final 1,000 that we're choosing from. So from the pool of finalists, approximately 8,200 students will be awarded scholarships, the National Merit Scholarship, or sponsoring colleges or corporations. Special scholarships are given to 1,500 students. So the numbers, the addition kind of is a little off here, but the point still stands of just you're starting at 1.5 million people, and then you're down to 8,200 that are awarded scholarships, period. And then the special scholarships and even more selective community of those, that's 1,500 students. So if you think about that on a percentage basis, what does that come out to? Like 0.01%. That was very quick. You guys can fact check me. I apologize if that was a little bit off, but either way, 1,500 out of 1.5 million who meet the eligibility criteria established by the corporate sponsor. So special scholarship recipients need not be finalists. But either way, I hope that the point kind of makes sense of just you're starting with a huge group of people and you're getting down to a very select crowd. So the better you can do on this test, the higher chance you have of ending up in that select community, and speaks to the whole point of why test prep has become something that is like almost imperative at this point. Like I feel like going through school, for me, I had a natural acuity to the material, so I didn't need as much test prep, but that just isn't as much of a thing, unfortunately, at this point in time, from what I've gathered in tutoring for the past 10 years or so. But yeah, that's kind of where we stand now.
So let's keep going down. So everyone, just remember any of these, any of these recognitions are amazing resume boosters, like huge, okay? With regards to PSAT enrollment, it's usually something the schools do. You can enroll yourself for the PSAT for National Merit Scholarships. I want to give you some advice because I'm bossy. You know, sometimes your school won't offer the PSAT. They're really hurting you by not doing this. I want you to know, like, hands down, all the specialized high schools, everybody's taking that test 11th grade. So then there are these like non-specialized high schools and other schools. So they're like, oh, well, we don't want to do it. We're not going to administer. It's too much work to administer. You know what? I've had a lot of kids at Kweller over the years where they signed up and they just took it at a local school. Like the PSATs are a really big opportunity. So if your school is not offering it, you can take it. I'm really excited to tell you that Kweller Prep is eventually going to be a test center. We did get a level 1 approval. I'm waiting on level 2. We're getting there, guys. Okay, so I'm slowly working on it. But the to-do list is long, so bear with me. All right, let's keep going. So Kareem, if you could help me just scroll down, I totally want to make sure to use this opportunity to go through. Okay, so this is a big deal. Ready? When you take the PSAT for the first time, you will now begin this avalanche of mail. But I want you to see specifically what some kids are getting versus others. Okay, let's take a look. Stop. Okay, so this is a real student who brought this to Kweller Prep a long time ago. This is one of the most recent ones. But if you're, Kareem, do you want me to read it? I could read it.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't
No.
mind. I mean,
If
I
it's
don't
clear enough.
mind. So the letter's from Harvard, and the letter is randomly going to a student in March 2015 of 11th grade. And it's likely the student has not even taken the SAT. So just, you have to understand, usually the kids are taking the SAT figure May, June. So this is someone who hasn't even taken the SAT. The letter is saying, have you considered Harvard? Your grades and standardized test scores indicate Harvard is a good fit for you. Okay, but where are they getting this from? Because the student never took the SAT. Who can guess what Harvard is referring to? They're referring to the student's PSAT scores. So let's keep going. And then they talk about financial aid, affordability. We totally have money if you choose Harvard. So like the Lexus car is coming to you, like come to us. Okay. So usually students who score 1420 to 1520, they receive these types of letters. It's very interesting. So instead of you like chasing the school is inviting you to apply. Have you heard of a Rolex? We really want you to have a Rolex. Like, we want you to have a Rolex. I mean, like, sure, I want a Rolex. We have scholarships for Rolex. Like, Rolex can be like almost free. All right. I mean, imagine how unbelievable this is. And this is from PSAT. All right. Again, I just want to dispel the myth of, thinking this test is not important. You're not going to get a letter like this under any other there's no other circumstance that will give you this kind of letter. So let's keep going. Princeton sends a letter. Let's take a look at Princeton's letter. Okay. So you have to remember the date of these letters. Okay. This is February 2019. Again, generally speaking, students are not sitting for the SAT until May, June. So here, or sometimes schools give the SAT for free in March. The results will come in April. So you really have to like look at these timelines. And I want to pause and just like enjoy the moment. It's been like a big thing I'm doing now that I'm older. Old Kareem. I'm old. I've known you for 10 years. I'm like flat out old. Okay. I really want to take a moment. When I was growing up, I went to public school. I went to Cardozo High School, and my parents are immigrants. My parents are Russian immigrants. Kareem's parents are Jamaican immigrants. They're immigrants. Immigrants are immigrants, guys. Our parents can't help us. So here I am trying to understand how to navigate higher education. And I'm being told PSAT doesn't matter. Don't worry. Don't worry. You know what? It does matter, because a letter like this can be a defining moment in your life, right? So please remember that here, I'm very, very thankful. Here I am so many years later, able to tell you, look, this is what happens when you prepare for the test. This is what happens when you get a high score, right? So here's the letter. It's February, right? So again, I want to be very clear on timelines. Generally in school, they give the SAT for free in March. You get your results April. So this is not a student who took the test of the SAT. This is strictly, look at the first sentence. Congratulations on your academics and other achievement. But what do they have? They don't, listen, everyone, I hope you guys are paying attention. Nope, they don't have your AP scores. You never sent them, right? They don't have your region scores. You never sent them. They don't have your college application. You never even create one until 12th grade, right? They literally have no data about you. The only data they're collecting is your PSAT. Like, I really hope this webinar is blowing the reality out of the water that PSAT is an important test. It's putting you on the radar for the top schools. So I'm not telling you that you only should apply to top schools. It's a whole separate conversation. But don't you want to know how to get in? You want to know how to do it, right? This is one of the stepping stones to top schools. Okay. And you get a letter like this, and a lot of kids don't, but you score well, you're one of the kids who do. Okay. If we can keep going, please.
Perfect.
Am I not allowed? Am I allowed to be political, Kareem? I don't know. De Blasio's son got a letter like this, guys. Don't think, no, I'm kidding. Sorry, guys. Okay, I'm sorry. I had a moment. All right, ready? This is Yale. Yale sends a letter for students with high PSAT scores. This is very interesting. Let's take a look. Ready? Congratulations. This is a February 2019 letter. Congratulations on your hard work. But what scholastic success do they have from an 11th grader in February. I am telling you, Kareem, I mean, am I wrong? Am I making this up? I'm 100% right. They literally have no data. You've never applied to the college. You've never submitted documents. You've never gone through Naviance. You've never gone through Common App. You've never done coalition application. You've never gone or entered a portal. The only reason they're sending this to you is because they've got your PSAT score. That's where they're gathering this information. The next time one of your school counselors, all the counselors like hate me now. The next time one of your counselors says PSAT doesn't matter, I mean, I'm showing you it matters. You're not going to get this letter. Got it? Do you advise PSAT in 10th grade or it's very important. I highly, if you could take the PSAT 9 for sport, take it for target practice, 8, 9, apply to St. John's, Johns Hopkins, CTY. You don't even need to get in. Just say that you qualified for it. It's good enough for the resume. Then do the PSAT 10 and the PSAT 11 is a big deal. Look at this letter. Don't you want this letter? Look at this. Okay. I expect you've begun to pile up a collection. Look at the first paragraph, last line. I expect you've already begun a pile of a sizable collection of letters and brochures. But why would these schools send you the brochures? They're sending it to you because they farmed your data from the PSAT. All right. And this is very important. I really want to just show you what we have in the course. If you could scroll through, okay, really fast. So we have a PSAT book. It has 3 exams. So just keep that in mind. A lot of kids do summer. Vocabulary is a big deal. Vocabulary, Kareem, if you don't mind speaking about vocabulary really quickly, because it's not directly tested, but I want the students to know like what they can expect from it.
Yeah, no, I'd say the vocabulary is important for 2 reasons. One, just the reading comprehension and writing section do use vocabulary that sometimes people are not as familiar with, and that throws them off. And if you don't know a word that's in the question that you are being asked, then oftentimes you won't be able to answer the question effectively. Even though you're not being asked for the definition of the word, obviously it's important to understand in order to answer the question effectively. So that's one. And 2, just separate from testing altogether. I mean, to apply to these schools, you have to write a personal statement. And if you want to write a high caliber personal statement, it can't just all be simple words. Like it includes words that are at a high level and are not just colloquialisms. They're advanced vocabulary. So I'd say that those are the 2 kind of key points as to why it's important to go through vocabulary. And I'm glad that, Kweller Prep has included vocabulary and continued to include it, and not just dropped it off because it's not on the test, and because it's preparation for just broader life, not just for the silo of one test. That does matter a lot, granted, but yeah.
And adding to that, we have a choice as a business what we can add, what we don't add. So the vocabulary is not directly tested on the PSAT, but then in the context of the reading comprehension passages, you'll see it. So just remember, it's an extra $10 to print each of these books. I'm just letting you know, it costs us money to print the books and obviously to create the material. So when we give this material in the course, we've made a very conscious, we handpicked it was a very conscious decision to include a vocabulary book. You're going to see it in the reading comp, and we don't want you to struggle. If you don't mind scrolling down a little bit more, just so that they know what they have. Okay, and then you can go through here. It's a good article just about the PSAT and admissions, if you could go through. And just know what the percentiles look like. So please keep that in mind. If we give anything else, let's see what else. Just 1 second. So there's a direct correlation between high PSAT scores and SAT scores. I mean, guaranteed, if you do well in one, you'll do well in the other. I can't imagine anyone scoring a 1,500 on a PSAT and 1,000 on an SAT. It's never, ever, ever going to happen. All right. Yeah. So please just keep that in mind. If we could keep going. Okay. So just,
I guess I'll quickly add there too, Francis, that touches upon something that's kind of important in admissions generally, not just college admission, but also graduate school admission, so on and so forth. It's front loading. If you can get some of the more time intensive stuff out of the way earlier on, then that just helps you significantly as you move forward. I tell people all about this. I tell people about this all the time. When I was applying to graduate school, didn't have to think about my graduate exams because I took my GRE when I was a junior in college. So the GRE scores last for 5 years, and I was able to apply with them because it hadn't been 5 years. But either way, I was able to focus on my personal statement, focus on getting my letters of recommendation, focus on the things that other things are time intensive. But can you imagine having to couple all those things with now studying for my GRE and then taking the GRE? It just is a lot more difficult. So the point that I think that just driving home the point, if you do well in the PSAT and you're very prepared to take the SAT from very early on, I mean, you're just saving yourself a lot of hassle later on.
So I really hope that you guys learn something. If you're able to leave a review online, we're not going into schools, unfortunately. We used to have these beautiful blue tables. Oh, if you want, actually, Kareem, you could read up a little bit on that just so that you guys know like where the family of PSAT is from. So PSAT is a registered trademark of College Board. That's like the big company. And then there is the national, everything's interconnected, okay? National Merit Scholarship Corporation, like everything is just connected. I want you guys to see like now just a couple of sheets. These are some, if you could scroll down, please, very quickly, everyone. So these are students who got in and they had really high PSAT scores. And guess what? Guess what? They wound up getting into top colleges and top universities, and it was all connected. Hey, Kareem, you want to guess who this is? So these are all connected, all right? It's called I Ripped Apart the College Acceptance Letter. All right, so please keep that in mind. If you're able to do a Google review or do an online review, it would really mean a lot because it helps support the business. And as I said, we're doing a whole lot of online marketing and advertising now, which has definitely been a change in the business over the years. So if you guys could take one moment, that would be much appreciated. With that being said, if you guys have, I want to take a moment just to, if you could just type into the chat, give Kareem a huge thank you. Kareem, thank you so much. It's been 10 years. Like I always ask you for last minute stuff. You say yes. You've just been really, really just amazing over the years with every request. And I hope that this was a very eye-opening experience for
No
you.
problem.
So, and if you guys could take a minute to do the review, it helps because, as I said, we don't get to do our very cool advertising in schools, which it's been a little sad. I miss like going into the school building, but you know, it is what it is. Okay,
Yeah.
and obviously safety
And
first.
Francis, if you want to shamelessly plug me, because I do have capacity for students, I
So I
don't know
want
if
to
that's
tell
okay.
I want to tell all of you, Kareem has so many skills with not just tutoring for the exams, but also the application. I think
Yeah.
that's a really important component. Sometimes the parents call, they're like, oh, well, can your tutor just math, just reading? No, reading, math, grammar, essay, application. Kareem has helped students with college applications, graduate school
Yeah.
applications. I mean, it's really endless, right? So
Yeah.
please keep that in mind. You can sign up for our classes, which is really important also. So, I hope that, you
Thank
remember,
you. Thank you.
and I also want to remind you guys, like, you're literally looking at two children of immigrants. So we're both navigating this journey. Our parents, like, had no idea what was going on. So I'm just telling you, like, I just like unbelievable thinking like how much Kareem and I have learned figuring this all. We were just babies learning this process. And the truth is there was a lot of bad guidance. There was very little good guidance. Kweller Prep exists to provide good guidance. There's a lot of like heartfelt good guidance in the program and the, methodology behind it. Just remember, this is very important that all of you not only take the PSAT seriously, but remember, this is a big stepping stone. In terms of Kareem, he's available through Zoom. I'm so happy to share. We're so fortunate. Kareem was an in-person tutor at Kweller Prep this entire year while he was a student at Harvard University because all of his classes were remote. So it's just amazing that you came in consistently into Kweller and you were able, I mean, the kids were just so lucky that they had you as an instructor. So
Yeah.
thank you. Oh, thank you so much for your feedback. Something I really like to do to close the webinar, I'm going to take everyone off mute just to say thank you, Kareem. So give me 1 second. I'm going to do this right now. Chat. Hold on. Hold on. Participants, I think. I go to that. Is that it? Wait, Kareem, I want to like unmute everyone. How do I want to do this right now. Can you help me do it? I'm going to unmute everyone. I just have to figure out how to do it. Can you show me,
So
Kareem?
I'm going to allow everyone to unmute themselves.
Yeah, allow. Just keep hitting that button. Okay, everyone, let's say thank you to Kareem. Thank you, Kareem. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Good
so
luck.
much, Kareem. Thank you so much.
Problem.
Good luck
Nice
to
to
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You all have a good night.
Have a good
Thank
night.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
So
Thank you.
much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. And I'm really glad. Kareem, that's one for the books. We have, you're starting law school in a couple of days.
Business
Again,
school.
Kareem is a second year law school student, and I am old. I am very old, Kareem. That's pretty scary how that happened. That happened fast. Oh my God. Is it really 10 years? 10 years is a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah.
It happened fast, guys. So make smart choices, because you grow up really fast. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. Aren't you 16? What happened? Holy moly.
Yeah, no. You
How
did
did
meet me when I was
this
16.
happen?
Mhm.
I just don't understand. How did this it happened very fast.
Yeah.
It's good. It's nice to virtually see you, Kareem. Hello.
Good to see you too, Francis.
All right, I guess we're done. Thank you, everyone.
All
Thank
right.
you so much. All right,
I'll
thanks,
close it up.
guys. Bye, everyone.
night.
Bye, guys.
Farewell.
Thank you.
Bye, Kareem. You can end the meeting. Thank